style. No, I'm actually I've got
Welcome to the Reclaiming Our Narratives event, close of Black History event. We felt it was very, very, very important to sort of do this. And thank you guys for taking the time out and coming along. It's really, really great to see you all here. We've got a really great day planned for everybody. I know that people are going to be visiting us throughout the day, but we've got a great day planned for you guys, so thank you for that. It's really good to see everybody from all different backgrounds, all walks of life. That's what we like to see, because I believe that any challenges, issues, as well as celebrations, should be shared by all, just like any other country. So welcome, everybody. Everybody's welcome here today. As I said, we've got a great day planned for everybody, okay? So please do get involved, please participate. This is something that we put on for everybody. So an amazing amount of work has gone into this. And thank you to everybody who will be thanking. I'll be saying thank you all day today, so bear with me. There might even be some hugs. I don't know. But, you know, honestly, like, so many people have helped us to pull this together, so we will be shouting out throughout the day, so thank you very much. All right, so before we kick off this day, I just again, my first thank you. I want to thank the Professional Network board members. I mean, we've been working on this tirelessly for a very long time. Lots of late nights. So, you know, I want to thank Debbie, who's my partner here. Keeps me going, keeps me grounded, keeps me calm. So thank you very much, Deb. Stephen, amazing, all these graphics that you see, all the music that you see, everything that you've done. Stephen, our IT guy here. Thank you, Stephen. Amazing. We've got Lisa here on logistics, and look, she's still making sure that everyone's comfortable. Thank you, Lisa. We've got Master of Ceremonies for the day. Really, really great. Lots of events, so thank you again, Mark, for that as well. Yeah. And we thank all our sort of volunteers that are helping us. So we have Juliet today, we have Crystal, and we have Denise. Crystal and Denise are on my team, so they have been briefing. They're absolutely amazing and helping us as well. Again, we've got our stallholders at the back, so we've got promoting our heritage. And we also have Laura Stars at the back as well. Thank you, Laura. Thank you guys for coming. Again, please look at them. Amazing stalls, amazing people. Okay, right. If you do need anything throughout the day, so we'll be floating around. That's what she this is mine. Yes, we'll be floating around. Do ask us if you need anything, but either we are in event mode, so we might be a bit direct at times, but it's okay. It's all love, and we just want to make this good for you all. Okay. What else have I got? Yeah, at any point during the day, with the stalls, feel free to get up and go and see them at any point during the day. You don't have to wait for a particular time. Feel free, but if you can just whisper at the back when if anything's going on, that'll be much appreciated. We also have a collection for the Mayor's charity. For anybody that wants to donate, feel free to put the collection boxes at the back there. There's also a QR code if you do want to donate at LA today. Alright, so that's at the back too.
Thank you, Darnell, and thank you to Darnell as well, who's our chair. So everyone has an agenda. In your bags, you will see that you have an agenda for the day, and you also have a map, and you also have a lovely cookbook. Even some Mark over there. We aim to run on time, but bear with us, because you know things can overrun sometimes, but we're here, right? We're going to here and have a good time and enjoy ourselves. So all good. If there's refreshment, you want refreshments, go at the back, you can help yourself. We have a network breakout time around 12:05, and then we aim to close around about 2, so everyone can have their light lunch. As mentioned, we want everyone to get involved in the event, so do contribute. There's going to be some group discussion work later, so we want everyone to be involved in that. So, have your say, speak up, be involved. We also want to hear. Okay, we're not on Microsoft Teams today, so it's not going to be shared to everyone. I think that's but we're going to be using the QR codes. So there's QR codes in the leaflets, there's QR codes that you might see around for your feedback and also to get involved later on in the discussion.
Yes, it was actually, you can't put your comments in the chat today. There's not Microsoft Teams, you have to chat your chat today.
Okay, phones and cameras. Please remember to turn off your phones or put them on silent. You don't want anyone disturbed in their speeches and presentations today. Feel free to take pictures. We have got our lovely Olivia here, so we'll be taking some pictures around. If there's a reason you don't want to take a picture, that's fine. Please let us know. And you will take some lovely pictures of all of us here today. If you do take some pictures, could you please send them to us on our web link, which will be up, I think should be up on our screen, the professional network at lewisham.gov. .uk. So we can have them, so then we can put them out on our newsletters and put them on the shared site. So everybody who didn't come today can see how fabulous the day was. Okay, we'll do a press release. We'll do a press release of the event and talk about the event and how it went and everything as well. So,
Alright, so we're going to be having some discussions today. So if you do have any questions or anything, please remember that we all have different perspectives. So if you just remember to sort of respect everybody's views. There isn't anything particularly sensitive today, to be honest. But if there is anything that people sort of want to talk about further, do remember that we do have our staff hand assist service. So if you do hear anything and it maybe brings up some memories, please feel free to sort of approach them as well. Okay, so that's it.
And just to remind everyone, today is the theme of the day is reclaiming narratives. So everything throughout the whole of the day will be around that theme. We want you guys to also think, as you're listening to the speakers and you're listening, to think of how we all can reclaim our narratives in all different ways, because we're going to definitely need some of your feedback at the end, okay? So have a good time, enjoy the show, what they say.
All right, so before we actually kick off the event, Jennifer, our chief executive, couldn't actually make it today. She's got a prior engagement that couldn't be moved, but she sent this message for us.
Hi, welcome to this year's Black History Month event. I'm Jennifer Doughton, your chief executive, and I've been asked to say a few words about Black History Month, this year's theme, and Black History Lewisham 365. So firstly, I'd like to say that Black History Month is, of course, an incredibly important event for Lewisham Council, our staff and our residents. The contributions to our communities, our culture, our economy and our public services made by individuals of Black heritage is better documented now than it has been previously, but there's still a long way to go in ensuring that those contributions are fully understood and celebrated. Black History Month is a great opportunity to come together to ensure those contributions are better and more widely recognised. And this year's theme is reclaiming narratives. Everyone will, at some point in their life, have faced a narrative, and I think it's important to recognise that everyone will be impacted by and respond to narratives differently. I think a great thing about the theme of Black History Month this year is that it is a reminder that we all have a choice to make about how we respond to and shape those narratives. And I would encourage you all to have a think about how we use who we are to help shape the narratives about us, rather than to allow the narrative to determine who people think we are. And of course, we recognise that 1 month in a year is not enough to recognise all of the fantastic contributions that have been made by our Black communities to our history. And to think of a few, those of you who've looked around the borough will have recognised plaques to really important individuals in that history, such as the plaque to Asquith Gibbs, which sits at Lewisham Police Station, who was a really leading light in terms of race equality for the residents of Lewisham in the recent past. And of course, you'll have seen some of the busts of people like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the Nobel Prize winner, who was a resident in Catford and actually did quite a lot in Grove Park and for Lewisham causes. And in the spirit of that, Black History Lewisham 365 is a recognition that we should be celebrating those moments in history, those people in history throughout the year. So if you want to get a better sense of what the council is up to in that space, please do have a look at our website and check out some of the events that we've held. A couple of highlights from my perspective in the time that I've been here include the Windrush celebration, celebrating 75 years of Windrush history, and of course Scene, which was celebrating some of the upcoming talent in Lewisham from our diverse ethnic communities. So having said all of that, I know you'll have a fantastic day. I hope you get the most out of it that you can. Take this as an opportunity to meet like-minded individuals and to celebrate reclaiming your narrative.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. So just to introduce myself, now we've officially opened this event. So my name is Mark Burbeck. I'm the Principal Small Business Officer for Lewisham, working in economy, jobs and partnerships, working with all the businesses across the borough. We've got so many creative, so many micro businesses, small businesses, large businesses, creating so many jobs beyond Lewisham Council, as well as the NHS, schools. There's so many fantastic workers in our borough that fills us with joy and pride. Today we do have the stall sellers at the back, so really please patronise them. Just like before, where claps weren't enough for NHS workers, you know, we want to give claps to our stall holders, but also our pounds. So please do recognise them. And I want to also give a mention and a big up to the Lewisham Library Service, who are at the back, who are absolutely fundamental in the research and the hard work that went into the Black History Trailblazers map, but we're going to hear a bit more about that later. So what we're going to do now is transition into the segment about the professional staff network, or the professional network, about what we've been doing thus far, what we've been doing over the previous year, the vision going forward, led by our chair and vice chair, Darnell and Debbie. So please tell us about the professional network.
The Black Stone Forum has been going on for a very, very, very long time. So it's got history, it's got roots in Lewisham. We kind of came together maybe about 6 or so years to revitalise it, because we noticed that nothing was happening, and it was like, we can't be here in Lewisham with no Black Stone Forum. So the successes that we've had over the time, what we've done like the last year, we've 5 long-standing executive board members established. Now, we did start off with many more. However, our restructuring and everything has gone. So we are actively going to be looking for some more members, but at the moment we have 5 great standing members who do so much work behind the scenes. We have our terms of reference in place, and that is something that we are doing too, because it's about how we function and how we move and how we work together collaboratively with other people. We have an agreed program that we deliver. We come together, we talk about what we want, we ask people and staff what they also want, and we try and deliver that. In the year of achievements, we have delivered the Black History Month event, which we did last year. We also delivered the Be Well event, which was last year. A few people, I think, was here last year. So thank you for the continued support. We also delivered a True Talk podcast, which Steve and Lynette will talk a bit more about later. We've delivered a Reclaiming Our Narrative webinar, which we did with OD. Thank you for that. That was really well attended and it was really good. We also worked in collaboration with the Catford Theatre, Lewisham Libraries, in creating and launching our Black History Lewisham 365 Trailblazers map, which you'll learn much more about later on. Our corporate engagement. Now, we do have to meet with the top the top tiers of Lewisham. So we have regular meetings with the chief exec, which you just saw just now. And that's more about us kind of seeing what the councils are doing and kind of giving ideas as to what we think should be happening within the council. We have regular attendance of the Cooperative Equalities Board, and we meet regularly with other forums to discuss what we kind of do. We kind of give them an update and see if there's anything that we can align with the work that we do for Lewisham. We work, we also collaboratively work with the Organisation Development OD team in developing Lewisham's values, the discovery sessions, and the language training, and anything else that we come together, we work with that we think is beneficial for our members, we will get involved in. Okay. Next steps. Right. The next steps we want to do, we want to deliver, well, we will be delivering a week of Talk Money sessions for Talk Money Week, which will be, I think, is that next week? Steve? Yes, so we want everyone to join in that. That's going to be about your finances. It's going to talk about investments, business ideas, things like that. So please, people, get involved, yeah? We're also going to be launching another series of our True Talk podcast in the new year. We're going to do a newsletter as well. So you're going to have much more information about all the things that we're doing. It's a really good project, and we'll look at that later. We've delivered, we will deliver series 2 of the True Talk podcast. We want people to get involved. I mean, the first bit we done was really, really good. We did interviews with the top tiers, and we want to get some ideas of what's next and who we can interview and what's the conversation's going to be about. So as I said, please get involved. We want to deliver some more events with the Black History Lewisham 365 programme. And we're going to be having some meetings with some of those top tiers to find out how we're going to do that, because obviously we know finances are tight. However, Lewisham has made a promise. I'm going to put that on the camera. So we want to know what is going to be happening. Right, so over to you, is that right? We want to see what we should do next. So we're looking for ideas from everyone to kind of say, you know, what it is that you think that we should be missing, what you think we should be doing more of. Over to you.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, fantastic. So, as Debbie said, it is over to you. What should we be doing next? And I think we want to get live and interactive with this type of session. So I'm actually going to be coming around the room just to get a couple of quick pointers of things that people feel like we should be doing in terms of the black staff within Lewisham, what Lewisham can be doing to better support their black staff. So first, I'm going to come to the back towards Josephine.
Yay!
I'm just going to say, thank you so much for this wonderful event. It's fantastic. I was just going to say, we can get more communication out, just so people are aware ahead of time, because I think it's so important, as you mentioned, it's so inclusive, which ties into the values of Lewisham, that we get more communication out, and we can go into Jennifer's newsletter or even the staff emails, just so people are more aware.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have it. Thank you. We do have it in Jennifer's emails that do go out. However, I would always say we can put it out as much as we want of communications, but the best communication is yourselves. You tell someone, you talk about it when you get back into the office, you talk about it on Teams, you say, come on, you have to come to this event, you're not going to say good. Yeah? That's what will get people coming, and that's how news spread about our beautiful things that we do. Okay? Thank you.
Well, I'm going to be doing the Jamaica team relay. So Glynis, we'll take one more in the suggestions. We need to get more mics. Put that in the budget email as well.
Greetings. I just thought with the staff survey that was just done, maybe if it was one of the questions, or so everybody knows about this group and any other group that Lewisham has.
I think that's an excellent point, and we did do some feedback into that staff survey, but I'll pass it over to Debbie for an official response.
Yeah, we do get involved in the staff survey, and I suppose in the next one, maybe we can look at, because we do have not just our forums, but then we have the LGTB forum, we also have disability forum, so there's lots of other forums that are supporting our community within Lewisham. So maybe what we'll do is we'll take that back and we'll probably have a discussion to see how we could maybe involve some more questions around forums in the questionnaire for staff questionnaire. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. And this is an ongoing conversation. We want that two-way communication and dialogue with the community, with the members. So please take the email, please scan the QR code, give the feedback. Your feedback is so valuable to enable us to continue delivering and developing these events for the community. We mentioned about next week and the set of financial wellbeing events that are going to be delivered by the professional network. Just by a show of hands, who in here has a pension? Okay, people with a pension, right. Who in here, put your hand up if you understand fully your pension? Two. All right, Josephine, I'm going to be coming to you with all kinds of questions because they be sending me statements and I have no idea what they're talking about. They're saying this year, that year, this value, but it doesn't mean that's what you're going to get, but what you put in, but what you put in, what you put out. And okay, so next week, as part of that series, and then just 1 hour around lunchtime of webinars that we'll be delivering, will be a pension session. So please, you'll be getting emails about these sessions. Take a look. The things that are of interest to you, please do sign up, but particularly pensions. I mean, you're putting in every month. You want to be able to understand them. I want to be able to understand them. Now, in terms of reclaiming our narratives, we're going to loop back to this theme again. I think it's really important that we understand the work that's been done in Lewisham already to see that disproportionately, particularly Black members of staff are at the lower end of the pay spectrum. And this is something that has been identified through HR and OD. Now, I'd say I was an exception to the trend in the sense of I was a Black man within the organisation under 35 at PO5. But what we want to do is see that not be an exception. We want to see that standardised across the organisation and see that there are equal opportunities for all. It's something that is being progressed, but I think in terms of reclaiming our narratives, it's really important that this is represented in the organisation from the very bottom all the way to the very top. So with that being said, I want to ask who here feels, and there's always more that can be done, but who here feels that Lewisham is being representative of Black history 365 days of the year? That is interesting. So that is part of the reason why this next piece of work was picked up. As I said, there was substantial research and resource that went into it from the library team, from Adult Learning Lewisham, from the community team and directorate. Darnell was heavily involved from the get-go, and it's really important to capture that Black history 365 because Afro-Caribbean history is so entrenched in Lewisham history. So I'm going to pass over to Darnell, and he's going to speak a bit about this Trailblazers map and what it is in terms of the work that went into it, the presentation to the public, and what it means going forward. Darnell.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for a great introduction, great questions, and great engagement. So today, guys, I think we're going to have a word of the day. It's going to be energy. So when I say energy, I want everybody to burst out in round of applause. Okay, so let's try it. Energy. Fantastic. That's what we want to do today. Absolutely. Thank you much, everyone. Thank you. Energy. Okay, brilliant. So that's what we're going to be doing today, guys. We want a lot of energy in the room. I think the speech doesn't include the words. I'll try my best. No promises. Okay, so yes, as Mark was saying, this is the section about the Trailblazers map. It was a very important piece of work that needed to sort of be done. We needed the information in one place. We needed information that was accessible, and we needed information that was a foundation to start off some further sort of education. So this is the story of it and how it sort of began. So for those that don't know me, my name is Desmond Dekker. I am a business resource manager for Adult Learning Lewisham. and I'm also the chair for the professional network for Black, Asian and multi-ethnic staff. And as I say, this was a very, very important piece of work. So this is what happened. It was a concept. So has anybody seen the Avengers?
Yeah.
Great. You know how that started? It all started with an idea. Okay, so this is what happened, and the concept I sort of took was my previous team, who's Sarah Lane sitting over there, they created a Sydenham Arts Trail, and I thought, interesting. And the Sydenham Arts Trail was just a list of all artists and artwork of interest around Sydenham. Okay, they made a map out of it. I thought, interesting. We need one for Black history. So that's sort of how it started. And then from there, I basically contacted Alice from the Lewisham Library Service because I needed somebody who could absolutely make sure that this stuff would get done as well. And Alice was a great person. So we had to pull together a team. So like I said with everything, the map is on the side there, and we'll have some posters for you guys to take away today as well. We do have a booklet, which should be in your bags as well. But what you see is a collection of so many people's different efforts and hard work and advice. So, so I spoke to Alice and we basically spoke about, we sort of brainstormed what could it look like, trying to figure out how this would all come together and speaking to the professional network and speaking to my colleagues and getting advice. And well, Alice was actually putting that concept together. And when I saw that concept, I was just like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so that's how it sort of started to build and started to sort of visualise it. Then it came time to do the research. And this is when we thought, oh my God, this is a project that, wow, it's bigger than we thought it was going to be, you know? So look, we had so many people, and we had the library service, and I want to say thank you, try and say thank you to all these people. We had the library service who were absolutely amazing in providing us information, providing us guidance of where we can go to find different information. We had Olivia here, who's been absolutely amazing from the beginning. Thank you, Olivia, because a lot of this is Olivia liaising with the designers and making sure that everything's right, making sure it's okay, making sure that we get it on sustainable printed cardboard. So we took the green tick for the council as well. So thank you so much, Olivia, you've been absolutely amazing. Crystal's out there on reception in my team, but she started the research process. So I said, Crystal, can you find 19 people from a ward and something of interest, a person or place or thing? She was like, yeah, no problem, I'll do it. And I was like, brilliant, that's what we need. And then we started thinking, okay, what Trailblazers, what people can we go on there? And we started looking around the stories that we have around the borough, and we found so many stories. And now we've launched a map. We're actually finding more stories that are coming out, so definitely more additions. So I just want to thank our Trailblazers that are here with us today. We've got Tim Oshobi, who will be hearing from in a minute. We've got Dr. David Michael, MBE, who's kindly joined us today as well. We have Desmond Dekker, who's the daughter of Desmond Dekker, one of our Trailblazers as well. And Barbara Gay will be here as well. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for being our Trailblazers. So that was the research day. So we wanted, the plan was, right, let's get this done for Sing Festival in June. It was like, yeah, we'll do it, no problem. After about 2 weeks, it was like, I don't think we're going to do this by Sing. I don't think we're going to get it done. There's so much to go into it. But we tried to keep pushing, but Sing came too fast and everybody was actually, the capacity was with Sing, which was understandable because it was an amazing event if anybody went to it. So we decided, okay, not a problem. This needs time to breathe anyway. It's better if this actually has a standalone time of itself to actually come to fruition. So that's what we decided to do. We spoke to everybody and everybody was sort of in agreement. And then we finally came up with a draft. So we came up with our first draft. And actually we had this point ready by Sing, actually, but it still wasn't ready. There were still permissions that we needed to sort of see. There was still final things, there were some changes around that we wanted to do as well. So, but we just kept pushing with it, and actually the ideas just started getting better and better and better. The more people we spoke to were just like, this is a really, really great idea. And actually it's been really, really, really overwhelming because I did this just to sort of say, this is something that we need this for our community. and my head was down for however many months it took to produce it. So when I raised my head up and said, like, this is the map, I was like, what? You know, people really saying, okay, like, this is really something that we need, and it kind of blew me away a little bit. So, you know, thank you for everybody's feedback. So that was the draft section. And that was it, yeah. So we had to do some more tweaks to it, and we had to make sure that we did it right. So we decided to launch it in Black History Month, which we did. We had some press releases from the Chief Executive midway through the month. Again, this is about celebrating Black History 365. So although Black History Month technically is finishing today, Black History 365 starts tomorrow. And this is what the map is going to represent for the rest of the year. So we're going to be celebrating, we're going to be doing this all throughout the year as it should be. And our mayor is also committed to that as well. So the map will be available in October across libraries and adult learning enrichment centres, and we're going to have them around some council buildings as well, so feel free to come and look at them. If you got any ideas, if you've got any suggestions, we should have contact on them, but if not, contact the professional network and send that through to us as well. Sorry, I didn't finish thanking the teams. I want to thank the community development team as well, who were absolutely amazing with everything that they sort of provided us with. I want to thank the organisational development team as well, who've been absolutely brilliant in supporting us and supporting what we do as well. So thank you to everybody. And anybody else I forgot, don't worry, I'll catch you later. No problem. All right. So with the map, just to finally finish, we created a competition with it as well. So there's a competition that's going on around the borough, where families, individuals, whoever can go around and visit these different locations, about 5 or 6 locations, and if they complete those and send us the photos of proof that they were there, we will actually give them 2 tickets to Sleeping Beauty at Christmas. So that competition is ongoing as well. We've also created an accompanying booklet, which you've seen now as well, with it as well. And now we're going to be having discussions on where this can sort of lead to. I know that there's one over in Lawrence House at the moment, and from the feedback that I've got, an hour after it was up, the community were coming and wanting to take pictures of the map, so that's absolutely amazing. And that's it. So it's been released. So we've got a couple of pictures here. So it was released in Deptford Library at the Black-led Business Forum, which was run by Mark, which was absolutely amazing. We have people taking pictures of the map. We have Councillor June there as well, who was at the event. That's Alice in the middle, who was also pivotal in putting this together. And we've got the map up at Deptford Library. And this was on Sunday night. So Debbie and I, Oliver Samuels is obviously one of our Trailblazers as well, and Oliver Samuels has his last show of a 3-week tour at Broadway Theatre on Sunday night. And Debbie and I presented Oliver with his own personal copy of the map. And he was over the moon, he didn't know what was happening. We arranged it with his team, everything behind the scenes, and he actually loved it. And we also have our Trailblazer there, Barbara Gay, who was at the show, and also wanted to take a picture of Oliver, so we also made that happen. But yes, that's some of the press releases. It's launched, and that's it there in Lawrence House, the entrance of Lawrence House, and that's the press release that was done by the Chief Executive. So the word is out now, the word is out, so we're just looking for everybody to sort of support it, give us ideas of what you want to see. We are going to be doing different editions, so it's going to be sports, health, business, whatever we do, so we're going to be doing that over time, and we want people to give us their ideas as well. All right, so before we actually get to our... I'm coming to say that. This is the feedback that we've had from the community, which is what it was for. And these are some of the things that they've said. Now, I did not just put all this together. This is actual real feedback from the community. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Laura Stars at the back, because some of this is her. Okay? So we're not lying, this is actual real feedback we've got. And again, it's overwhelming. It's a very, very proud moment for all of us to sort of have this. Sarah, go ahead, you wanted to ask a question?
I wanted to throw it into the room. How far back do you think Black history goes in Lewisham?
Interesting question. Does anybody know? Does anybody know how far back you think Black history goes in Lewisham?
From the beginning of time.
17th century, what?
He said from the beginning of time, so how's that?
Yeah, well, yeah. We know that there were Africans in Lewisham
Speech.
in the Roman times, because there was a Roman African doll found in Deptford Creek. So we know at least
Wow.
Roman times.
Brilliant. Did anybody know that?
No.
Hey, we know now. Thank you, sir. Brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. And that's what talking does. So we're just gonna start bringing up our Trailblazers, who you're going to be hearing from. So just to sort of finish off this, again, that's what we're talking about. The future and legacies of it. We want to do more editions, and we also want this across the borough. You know, we have had tweets that this will be going across to schools, which we didn't say, but it's okay. If they wanted to go to schools, we'll try and make it happen. But we need the council to support that as well. So that's the sort of things we want to do. So that's it, everybody. And this is again, thank you to everybody who sort of helped us. This is a list of people. Selena, I forgot to say thank you to you, but you've been amazing too, because from the very, very beginning, the initial prints, it was Selena that was liaising with all of the designers and everything, making that happen. So thank you again, and thank you everybody that made this happen.
Thank you, Darnell, and that's going to be a really important legacy piece as part of Lewisham Black History 365, which definitely starts from tomorrow. Energy! I think something that's important to note there is the role of allies and the importance of allies in putting that all together. It was a substantial piece of work, and we have to celebrate our allies as well, working inclusively and also spreading the message. So, you know, Black history is spread beyond just the initial community and into the wider community, because it's all of our history to that extent. Thank you, guys. Next speech. I think what's really important as well here to identify is the action that was taken. And this was an action started from an idea, but then Darnell took the initiative, was proactive, and took action to make it happen. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't ask to be allowed to proceed. He had a really good idea, developed a vision, gathered a team of Avengers, and made it happen. So our resident Nick Fury, Darnell, thank you for taking action. And I think that really underlines the theme, reclaiming our narrative. And that's something that's been achieved through this piece of work. So if there's something to kind of take away from that, I would say is we all have fantastic ideas. We all have thoughts of what Black history means to us, Lewisham Black history. Please, please, please engage, communicate with us, and take action, more importantly, because if we take action, some fantastic things can happen and change can happen. I think we need to, through this map, it also allows us to celebrate some of the icons and the Lewisham legends that are part of this borough and make up the fabric of its history, particularly those that are still with us, which is really important to give flowers and recognition where recognition is due. So we're going to be hearing from some of those icons today, and I'm really pleased and proud to introduce the first of those, Tim Oshodi, who he's going to tell you about the fantastic project he undertook. I was really lucky, in fact, where I was first introduced to Tim by my now wife through the Lewisham Library Service, where Tim wanted to get some support with how to get his story out there, and also how to spread the word on how people could do self-builds and gain the skills. I connected with Tim and spoke to him about some of the programs and support we had available, signposted to some of our workshops. And when I learned from you, you know, the things you went through, the challenges, the racism to make what you made happen, just so inspirational. So please give a warm welcome to Tim Oshodi, who's going to speak as one of our Trailblazers.
So yeah, I mean, first of all, really, thank you very much. It was Alice again with her magical touch. She got in touch with me and said that she wanted me to be in some map. I said to her, "Is Lewisham Castle?" No. So, only because essentially part of the thing is that a lot of us in the community don't realise there's a black network, and I think that's one thing that maybe we should look at about how we can work closer together, because we just see Lewisham Council as the overall lord and there's problems, whereas there's lots of different parts of you and different allies And I remember going back 30 years now, like when I was working in Silwood Estate and so on, there was a council, the housing officers, who had a completely different attitude. And then I went into the education department, and it was like heaven. They were completely different, really friendly and regular. So those outside the council don't realise that there's lots of different parts of you. And I think from your professional network and the wider community, particularly the Lewisham Black Religious Sector Network, we've got a lot in common, and we should build those links together, to be able to support you. So anyhow, I think I tell you what, because you don't want me to do 5 or 10 minutes, don't you?
You've got 8 minutes, 38 seconds left.
It's fast, right? So we're quick. So what I'm going to do is quickly show you what we've done, and there's a whole website that you can look at. So on this one, my beautiful assistant, who I don't know his name, but I do appreciate it. Stephen, yeah. So this shows a picture, and these are the originals, and I'm not sure, does anyone recognise the woman with the band around her hair and a cowrie shell? No, that is Beverly Glee. That woman gets everywhere, and she was our first chair of our co-op, and she's also the founder of Ivy and so on. But she would tell you that part of her founding Ivy was the fact that she was able to build her own house in a community group. So she was in that, and there's a whole film about this and so on, which I think they're going to show later on this afternoon. But the thing about the thing about asking is that it's people in housing needs coming together. There's two things. We're not talking about grand designs. Oh look, I spent £1 million. No, it could cost me another £1 million. So these are people in housing need, and we've taken off the council waiting list, and then we adjust everything to allow them to achieve their dream, which is to house their family. We're doing it through a group process. And what Beverly and Caroline and Martin McCook and the others will tell you that this is what their parents did. So they're not only doing something for themselves, but they're tapping into what their parents do, that whole story about that thing. So in England, a lot of the time, the professionals dominate on top of the community, but this is about saying, how do we maximize the ordinary person's participation in that process? And what's the end result of that? The end result is you get Beverly, who then goes on, you learn how to deal with the professionals, then goes on to set our own dance company. So you get Prince, who's then now recognised as a national gardener, and so on. And then you get myself, who's a rubbish carpenter, and who's always rubbish with his carpentry classes, but had a dream when he was 11 and 12, that he could build a house, and didn't understand what that dream was about, because I was a rubbish carpenter. And then when I travelled to Zimbabwe, and I met all these ex-freedom fighters, these women who were terrified, but they knew at the age of 10 and 11, they had to leave their home, they had to flee their country, and then they ended up in China and Russia, and they came back, and they liberated their country, but the first time they carried a gun, there were some issues, and they were frightened, and they ran away, and then they learned how to fight, and so on. And then after they fought, they knew what they were fighting for, and then they set up their own cooperative, and they set up a cooperative forum, and by chance I had to be on it, and then I learned from them, I thought, if they can do that when they're 12 or 13, surely when we come to our country, we can do that, And it wasn't, and I have to tell you, we're a black-led organisation, but it's not just black only, we're black-led. We know what we want to do, but we also work with anybody who's prepared to do the same thing. So that's what we do. Next slide, please. Great. So you can see these houses. These are our first houses. Fusions won the first ever community group that won the Reba Project Design Award, the first ever across the whole country, and Reba is a Royal Institute of British Architecture, seen as the best designs and so on. So those you can go see them in Brockley Park and Albert Hill, using eco building techniques, well ahead of its time. And so on, and they're still there. And then, and the other one's about our legacy. So Fusion Jameen became the largest self-build initiative in the whole of Europe, black-led self-build initiative. And then we've gone on to after I was involved in setting up our second scheme, and we set up a community land trust, and we're working with the communities down in around Deptford in the south of the borough, and those are pictures of what they call open air schools. So New Woodley School was the first open air school in the whole of London, and that had that was teaching people, so that kind of what you call forest schools now. So the people coming out of slum from the slum areas, had a lot of tuberculosis, and they taught them in the open air. And now that's now destroyed school teachers. So we're working with the local schools, we work with the GPs, and we're going to be building more of that. And we talked to when Damien was the mayor, and they agreed we could go to feasibility study and Heritage Lottery. When they came down and saw what we've done, they were offering us £10 million to do up one bit of the woods and so on. But what did we come up against? Some of the culture from some of the officers who actually resisted what the mayor was telling them to do. So even though we had the money, there's another part of the council that didn't want that to happen, and then they just kept delaying it. And so on. And apparently now it's Aaron blocked our bid 5 years later on. Apparently they made a bid themselves, for the same budget, but the money left. But anyhow, that's another discussion. That's where we talk. Next page. Next one. So this is our second scheme where I live, Newbury Way, the bottom house with the red one through the woods is one of our thing. And as a black-led project, the local community, I'm not sure if you know Downham, quite isolated. There was down in Pride a few years ago, and that was because the adult 90% of the adults had no formal qualification 20 odd years ago in around Downham. A lot of white working class neglected and a lot of racism. Over 1,000 people in our ward voted for the NF, not the BNP, the NF. So there's hardcore racism, and they were told that we were refugees. We were taking their housing. And I'm a refugee from Peckham. I was but I already lived in Lewisham for a long time. But the whole point is they were seeing us as the enemy. Until we had free arson attacks and stuff like that. I had to fight off the enemy myself. Some of those people have gone. Some of those people are still there, still working and being funded. In public bodies, and we're talking to those bodies and saying, listen, if we're gonna, if you want us to work, that you still cause us harm unless you actually deal with these issues. And so on. And I'm not sure we've seen the latest Institute of Health Equity report of structural racism across London and so on. That raises some good stuff that's happening in Lewisham, but there's also some serious issues which we need to get challenged on. You got 2 minutes. Next slide. Our third scheme, fantastic scheme, women-led scheme, by Chimble Meadows. You go see it when you go to Chimble Meadows. You see there's these houses with solar panels on. And you see the film that's on this afternoon. Talk to Charmaine. She was in a tower block. 3 kids in a 2-bedroom flat. And now she's ended up building another award-winning 7-bedroom house. She designed her own garden, stuff like that, having never done any of this before. We can work with, this is what it can do when you really work with people. So on the next slide, please. Again, back to our, so people tell their individual stories. Prince has become a nationally recognised eco-gardener, planting plants by the moon and stuff like that. At the Lewisham Sports Consortium, created a 3-acre garden with the great stuff. Colin did the build because of his child, and first time could house his child, and so on. Next one, please. Wait a second, sir. That's Andrew. He tell you he built his house, getting a little bit away because he saw his parents build his house, and so on. Charmaine, she built her house. Her son's gone on to build his own house. She then set up her own building business and employed at least 10 of the other women who were involved in the scheme as well. So it goes on intergenerationally. This thing about when people have a need, you come together and meet they can achieve their dream, and then it opens up the whole world to them. What else can we do? And there's no arguing about it. Their kids have seen them do it. So, and that's it. And that approach is what we are now trying to develop wider. And so we're working in partnership with the doctors of the area, we're working with Lewisham Council together, and we're saying to them, and I have to thank Brenda for this because she's been really open with this, we're saying to them, actually, we can bring in £1 billion into our area. We set out a report. We're having to challenge, people find it a bit challenging in terms of how we work together, but we're really confident that we can get there. That time?
Standing ovation, I'm sorry, standing ovation, standing ovation, standing ovation, energy. This is why we needed the map.
Sorry, I should say yes. The map. So they want you to go to schools. So the map, the schools, you've got a fantastic resource, a central resource from the school, where they can turn this into a digital map. They've already got a software for it. So you can then link up to anybody on a smartphone, can then go around in the same places and they can do it. And I'll pass you on the way. But also, I love Mark, because and also the people in the library, we should be doing more bits, with the libraries, because the libraries are absolutely fantastic. And you've got brilliant people who really, work with us.
Thank you, Tim. Absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, didn't I say inspirational? You wouldn't think that's the story, but when you hear the story, then that was 10 minutes. He could have spoken for 10 years. And the intricacies, and if you peel back the layers, there's just so much more. So I really encourage you to go onto the website, learn more about Tim, his organisation, what he's doing, the history, but also the vision going forward. I'm so pleased to also introduce this next guest. And it's up to you if you would like to stay seated or if you would like to stand and present with the microphone. Absolutely up to you. But the next guest, I've had the privilege to work with very closely, leading the Canara Group, part of the last year report, has been an absolute advocate for the Lewisham Black Third sector. Replaying the narrative in terms of healthcare, was Mayoress of Lewisham, someone I looked up to. There's actually a picture of you, Barbara, in my uncle's house with some of my family that I need to send you. Next time I go there, I'm gonna, take it, send it to you. But please make a warm welcome for Barbara Gray. Energy.
Wow, you set a very hard expectation to follow. Right, so my name is Barbara Gray, and I moved into Lewisham in 1988 with a 6-month-old baby. I was born in southwest London and lived my first 20 or 30 years of life in southwest London, and found myself in Catford. I'd never ever been past Crystal Palace, so I didn't know the area, didn't know anything. All my family were in southwest London, but it was a change. And it's a legacy to my mother, who I discovered came to England in 1954 on her own by plane. So, you kind of see how things happen and continue in terms of families. So, what am I going to say? I think, a big part of the change, the starting point for me in my life is that my earliest memory is living in Balham, and there was 5 of us and my mum living in 2 rooms with no bath, no hot water, and I just think about the conditions then. And when we moved out of that house, the whole street was demolished. So at my age now, when I think back and there's a public servant, I know what that means. But at the time I didn't. So that's where I'm coming from, really. But coming to Lewisham, through the 60s and 70s, I lived with what happened there, and no legislation for equalities or anything. But coming to Lewisham was a real awakening moment for me, because I realised that there was legislation. I had no idea before. And come across equalities policy, equal opportunities. Who knew that something like that existed? So I just get very excited. I'm thinking, I'm going to do all of this stuff. So my job, I came in, I worked with the leader, with the politicians, the leader of the council and all the councillors. So I know all about that. I knew nothing about any of that. I just saw what they did. I saw how powerful the voice is. So when the community were not happy, they would come up to member services and all the letters and everything. And I'm thinking, wow, this is a thing. You can really, really ask for what you want. You can really say you're not happy. These people are our servants. They are public servants, they're never us. And that was a real awakening for me. But a bit like Tim, when you start to try to use the system, there is a bit of a rude awakening. I used my time in Lewisham Council. I think I used to see it as a job. It was interesting. I worked with the councillors. Then I went on to have a placement in HR. Then I worked in housing. Then I worked in economic development. And it really showed me that there was a wide range of opportunities. There were a wide range of skills that you could learn, and there was opportunity to learn. So whilst I was working, I actually saw my time in Lewisham as being in college or at university, to be honest, because it was an opportunity to develop my skills. And so when I went with the politicians, and they had this scheme where you could go to college for 2 years, I jumped at that, not realising that my manager had to sign the paper for me to go. And there's all sorts of reasons, a single mom, we can't really help you, I'm very busy, and all that kind of stuff. Go away and think about it. So I went home on Friday, came back on Monday, said, I've had a really deep discussion with my family and we've decided that I should do it. And she said she couldn't help me very much because she's busy. So determined that I was going to do this, and with my little baby. 2 years later, I achieved a HND, which I discovered today is a level 5 qualification in local government. And I thought, wow, I can really do this. And it was only because I think my manager at the time was told by the training department, which they had for the council in those days, they had to tell her. So she came and she said, well, congratulations, Barbara, on what you've achieved. And I think she was totally shocked at, well, how did you do this? And then I went on and I joined the mentoring scheme, because they had a mentoring scheme in the council, and my mentor was the head of HR for the council and learning and development, and she was amazing. She made me read a lot, she made me shadow her, I did so many different things, and it just brought my whole thinking to a whole other level, and to see how things actually work, and to be in those spaces. And it's something about being in those spaces that people see you see them, you see the interaction. It really gives you something otherwise you can't really, it's not that easy to get. So once I did that now, equal opportunities policy, I'm thinking, yeah, this is good, I'm just going to follow this through. I want to have a secondment. That was when I got my next barrier. And the manager was saying, well, we can give you a secondment, but if you get a secondment, it's probably going to be at a lower salary. I'm a single parent with a mortgage. How am I going to deal with that? But I just stuck to my guns, and I'm just thinking, no, I'm just going to do this. And I think one day I just had a frank conversation with my manager, and the next thing I knew, I had a secondment in HR, and then went on to get a secondment in housing. And all the time I was learning, pick the opportunities to speak to other people. So I remember somebody who taught me how to use Excel. I thought, I want to run a budget. How can I do that? I don't know how to use Excel. And she said, well, we've got the scheme. So you just have to find somebody who uses Excel. And this guy helped me at lunchtimes. We used to meet, I think, once a week. And he just taught me the basics of how to use Excel and how to use the formulas. That opened up a whole other area. So all I needed was about 4 or 5 different formulas, and then I could set up and run a budget. So, so I've just always thought of learning, and I've used it at every opportunity. And I think the last opportunity I had was by that time I set up the council's model apprenticeship scheme. So I was recruited in economic development to do that. They'd been trying for years and couldn't do it, and I came in, and within a year we had a centre that was set up. We had apprentices working right across the council. We had hundreds of letters from parents who wanted their children to come to the Lewisham model apprenticeship scheme. And we even had somebody who was at ASCS doing their A-levels who was going to leave the school to come and join our scheme, and the head teacher wrote to us and said, please let them finish their education. That's how great it was, and it's still around today as the mayor's scheme. So if you hear about the apprenticeship scheme in Lewisham, this is where it started from that. So I think the one thing I would say is things change, constantly changing. And, they change even faster now than they've ever done. So whatever you will see happening or things that are happening now, you come about in 6 months later, it's very different. And I think the one thing I would say is just to learn any opportunity. If somebody has got a skill that you might like to try, see how you can get to share that through this scheme. I was part of the Lewisham Council Black Staff Forum at the time, with one of the policy officers. And the one thing that we definitely had was a training program. And it's all those little bits of learning over time in terms of skills, a bit of knowledge, and sometimes through that you get to meet and build relationships with other people, which then become long-standing, and you never know where you're going to be at any time, whether in the council or outside. We actually come across those people, and it's quite useful and quite helpful to me. So now, having become the mayoress, where did that come from? But this equalities legislation and equalities policy was just like, and I reflected on my life, and that's when I thought, wow, we lived on a street that was demolished. And they put us, and the whole thing that we went through, they didn't treat us fairly. I came into the local authority where I first came across it and realised, even though it's there, it doesn't mean it's going to work. So I think it's something about having a vision, which I did for my life, and what I wanted, and just to see the opportunities that we often don't see. That's it.
Standing ovation, standing ovation. Kicked off the apprenticeship scheme. Think about the doorways and the opportunities. And again, just like Tim, that is just surface level. That is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to Barbara's story, that could have been shared. And there's so much there that you talked about that resonated. The fact that you mentioned about, taking certain courses without permission. And I think something that themes and shares across the people who have spoken today is the fact that they've taken action. They've taken their own initiative to drive themselves forward, to see their vision come to light, and to reclaim their narrative. Now, our next guest, again, just such an inspiration, stood out from the crowd, was the very first African Black police officer in Lewisham. At the time, one of only 11 in the force. 11 out of like 22,000. That's a football team out of like 22,000, one of only 11. And a fantastic decorated career that progressed all the way to, and let me know if I get this right, Chief Inspector Detective at Scotland Yard. So please give a warm welcome to Dr. David Michael, MBE.
Thank you very much for that really warm welcome. And thank you to you, the Black Professional Network, BHM Professional Network, for bearing me in mind and giving me this opportunity to share a few remarks with you. I would also like to thank our Executive Mayor and the whole Council for getting behind the map and the event today. In particular, I'd like to thank George Hill from the Library Service, Darnell, and Stephen Adjidoma for keeping me informed and making sure I was well prepped for today. I really appreciate that. So when Darnell said to me, our theme is reclaiming the narratives, because of my nature of being a free spirit, I thought that's a little bit prescriptive until I found out what it really meant. So it meant to shine a spotlight on some of the untold stories, but also to correct historical inaccuracies. And I know in Darnell's introduction, there was a slide of this book. It's The Longest Journey, A History of Black Lewisham by Professor Joan Animado, and she's the Emeritus Professor of Caribbean Studies at Goldsmith College. Now, this is a lovely book, and as was mentioned in the audience earlier, the history of Black people in Lewisham goes back a long way, and this book chronicles some of that. But one of the things that's missing from the book is about Black police officers in Lewisham. So although this book was first published in 1985 and copyrighted in 1988, it does talk about policing. So I joined the Metropolitan Police as a 19-year-old constable in December 1972. 15 months, after serving 15 months as a police cadet, including spending a year at Woolwich Police Station. So the book talks about policing, and it talks about some of my mentors and two of the people who put their arms around me when I arrived at Ladywell Police Station as a 19-year-old constable, Asquith Gibbs and Sybil Phoenix. But it doesn't say anything about the fact that I arrived here in early 1973, and not long after I arrived at Ladywell, a colleague of mine who sadly she's passed away now, Monica Good, and arrived at Catford Police Station. And then not long after that, a good personal friend of mine who sadly has passed away, Ronald Hope, also joined me at Ladywell Police Station. So it's the story of three black officers at the time that policing is described in this book, and the efforts of Asquith Gibbs and Sybil Phoenix and others is missing. So I'm glad you've given me the opportunity to highlight that. So as has been mentioned, since the Metropolitan Police was formed in 1829, I was the first person of heritage to serve in the borough of Lewisham as a Metropolitan Police officer. Now we have to put it into context. I joined the Metropolitan Police 4 years before the Race Relations Act of 1976. And I'm just another icon and hero of mine, Lord Herman Ousley, has passed away recently. And I'm just reading his book about, it wasn't far from the era where we used to have landlords saying no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. And so when I came to work in Lewisham as a 19-year-old police constable, for a start, when I arrived at Ladywell, they hadn't had a probation, they hadn't had a new police officer there for a long time. But also what I found when I arrived at Ladywell was that the police was more like an occupying army than a police service for the community. They had a very jaundiced view of black people and the black community, and in particular young black men and boys. So despite the fact that landlords not that long ago had the signs of no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, and there was a firm somewhere in Lewisham that had vacancies but no colleagues need apply. So that was the kind of social environment. But the police officers still had this mantra that every young black man had a chip on his shoulder. And so it was. So I always tried to be fair, and that's why I put it into context about it was 4 years before the Race Relations Act. And so my colleagues, they had a work ethic, so we had Lewisham Hospital had a nursing home attached to it. And if in the night we got a call from the nursing home saying there's prowlers in the ground, whatever the officers were doing, they dropped it and went. If you got a call saying someone's burgling a house or burgling a shop in the high street, they will drop. If they're in the middle of their breakfast or their lunch, they drop everything and go. But on the other hand, it was an inherently racist organisation where the most vile racist language permeated every aspect of the environment, the station office, the vehicles, everywhere. And the thing for me as a 19-year-old is that nobody in a position of leadership, management or authority ever intervened. And people ask me, well, how did you survive 30 years? and that was the environment we were working in. And I kind of said, even though I had young heads, I was never going to let another human being detract me from something that I ended up being very good at. And importantly, I was able to be there. Later on, as the introduction said, I ended up as a Detective Chief Inspector at Scotland Yard, investigating serious international and organised crime, kidnappings, contract killings, etc., etc. So I was able to be in the organisation to collect the evidence, and thankfully my personality and character, because many black people joined at that time. Noel Roberts joined 5 years before me. He also served for 30 years, and he's an amazing person. But so I didn't let that environment detract me from doing something I ended up being very good at. And in fact, even in those early days, I was able to communicate with young people, and 2 young people I met on the streets of Lewisham at that time. Subsequently, a male and a female joined the Metropolitan Police. So time is short. Another time, for the forum or any other group in the council or in the borough or in the community, I can give you the full version. I'm going to put some photographs on that table over there so you can have a look at. And I'm going to mention 2 other people. They were bogeymen for my colleagues. Paul Botek, who was he was a great solicitor, and an Irish solicitor, Jim McGoldrick. And even at that time, they really did well to hold the police to account, who were largely unaccountable to anyone and really didn't care less. So obviously I made Lewisham my home after that, and I later served as a councillor here. I was a special advisor to First Executive Mayor, and I chaired the Community Police Consultative Group, and as a councillor I chaired the Safer Stronger Communities Select Committee. My 2 daughters were born in Lewisham Hospital, and my ex-partner I met in Deptford. I also served a second time in Lewisham as a detective sergeant at Deptford. So I can give you the full version another time, but thank you very much for having me.
Standing, you know the drill, standing ovation, energy. Wow. Wow. You must have some stories, and stories, and stories. I tell you, the history of Lewisham never ceases to amaze. Once again, the bravery, if you can imagine the bravery, as you said, as a 19-year-old boy, and when we all turn 19, we think we're big people. But in retrospect, when you look back, you're not big people, and you don't really understand what life's about yet. So the bravery as a 19-year-old boy to be in that furnace, that circumstance, and stay there. Again, it's opening pathways for the others who have come after you. Again, you took the action required to persevere and make an absolutely decorated career that then transcended into politics and being a councillor and representing the Lewisham community and being part of the Safer Select Committee. So thank you. And I think what it shows all of us is you can get it if you really want. Yeah. You like that there? You see what I did there? Yeah. So please, a warm welcome to Desmond Dekker, daughter of Desmond Dekker. Energy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for all coming today. It's
You don't know how much it means to me to be here. Couldn't sleep this morning, last night or this morning, woke extra early. I don't know, but it's something very exciting about being here today. I mean, it's an honour because, like you heard from these 3 senior members here, you know, they've been through it, and to get this opportunity to stand here and to push things forward for young people and for others to have the opportunity to explore who made Lewisham and also who was in Lewisham Borough. My name is Desmond Dekker, but my family name is Dekkers. Yes. I understand the mayor is Dekkers as well, so we need to talk. Yes, now my father moved to this borough around about the 1980s. When he first came here to UK, my early years in UK was in West London, Cricklewood. I was brought up there, and he decided to move to the southeast borough in South London. So we had a period where we were crossing over from the north to the south during the late 70s, 80s, and landed in Forest Hill. Now, that's where I grew up, and we had a family home at Derbyshire Road. And in the 1980s, he was mainly a songwriter during those years. I can only say that when he was famous in the 1960s, he was one of the first international superstar reggae artists to appear here in England on Top of the Pops. Can you imagine what the competition must have been like to be the first black man to appear #1 in the charts at Top of the Pops in the 70s. Now he's competing with people like the Beatles, Elvis Presley, and in US charts, Marvin Gaye, Motown people. They already had their group of people who were really hitting those charts, and he was, #1 with Israelites. Get up in the morning, slaving for breakfast, so that every mouth can be fed. Make Israelites. Yes. Now, during the 80s in Lewisham, he was mainly a songwriter. He was, after the pop star life of being an international star, he wanted to settle to a borough where he could be in touch with the community. And he often chooses, after he moved from Forest Hill in the mid-90s, he moved to Croydon. But he had a habit of wanting to touch base with people around him, because when he's a songwriter, he likes to mingle with people in the urban communities, and he was very much in touch with people and reality. And he also wanted us to be at school, a local school, where when we was kids growing up, to mingle with local people, to grow up in the classroom with local people rather than being put in a private school and be, disconnected from the real foundation of life. That's how I managed to meet Denise. Denise is one of the staff, and she's a old school friend of mine. We met when I was 12 years old at Waverley School, when it did exist in Peckham. And Desmond Dekker was a songwriter, and most of his songs were written around people. And after he moved from Lewisham Borough, we moved to Bolton Heath around about 1996, and Croydon became his borough. What the slide has is that it shows you his details. He was born 1941, and he passed away 2006. He was a musician, reggae artist, and he also did a lot of tours around the world during the 1980s. In Croydon, after he passed away, it was important that I wanted to get the message out that he was one of the first Jamaican artists to have brought reggae music to UK charts, and we have an archive of his music, song, poetry that he wrote a lot of and was then put into music. The poetry, some of his poetry is now at the Croydon Museum of Croydon right now. It's been launched from February this year till the end of December, and it's open to everybody. It's a free entry. How I managed to get started there is that when they were doing a trail, just like Lewisham, it all started off as just a little clip of Desmond Dekker being there. And I thought, I'd get in touch with these people, go down to the exhibition and see these people. When I did see these people, it then blossomed and ended up where some of his artifacts are there on display. His beret, his glasses, his jacket, and the whole outfit. So when there it is now, but that's the museum there. They had a beacon light of him up there. I don't know if you can actually see it, but there's a flashing light of the clock tower, and they had like an evening of artists who lived in that borough, and puppets, people and dancers, and the street was full of people dancing and celebrating Desmond Dekker and narratives, people who made a difference in that borough. And I thought maybe Lewisham could do something similar to that. That's the exhibition right now. They are displaying his artifacts there. and there's lots of little clips of him and pictures of what he did in his lifetime. It's unless people like us, get up and talk to people, nobody knows anything. There's more to this man, Desmond Dekker, than just seeing him, sing him. I would love the public to see more of him, how he was like in his daily life, his poetries. I want young people to see and hear what he was about. They only hear his music and say, oh, I've heard of Desmond Dekker, but I don't know Desmond Dekker. So I would like to, if I can, bring forward more about this. I mean, I've got Croydon got these leaflets done, cards. I will display them after the show, and you can just put them as a pointer on your clipboard somewhere, that they can go and visit the Rewind exhibition. Who knows? This exhibition could extend to something much more, to a bigger platform. I don't know. Maybe Lewisham might want to take it to another next level, where the artist Desmond Dekker was here in Lewisham, in the shopping centre, like everybody else, eating some patty and jerk chicken. He enjoyed those sort of things, and he was a great father. You would have loved him if he was standing here right now. I miss him very dearly, but there's more details. I'm going to put this video up so that it can be available. There's more to read about it. There's websites underneath of the next 2 pages of that film. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation so far.
Thank you so much, Desiree. Rest in power, Desmond Dekker. Energy. And music and culture is so synonymous with Lewisham. I remember the Nubian shop just behind us on the Broadway when it used to belt out the classics. You've got artists over the years that have come through Lewisham and come from Lewisham, Tipper Irie, Josh Shaka, Maxi Priest, Saxon Sound, and it's very much part of the fabric of the culture and the backdrop of Lewisham. It's transitioned into the modern day artists like Novelist, who's part of the Borough Culture Celebrations and did a headline show at Albany. Artists like P Money, artists like D Block Europe, who sell out the O2 Arena. So you can see how that history of music has evolved even to today. So thank you so much, Desiree. And I'd like to open up quickly for some questions from the audience. And Sarah is definitely ready. So I'm going over to you first.
This one, Desiree, it's not a question, it's just something. There's a great blog about music, and I read a story that really resounded, that your father, he found out that there was a young man in a coma in Lewisham Hospital, and when he found out that he was a big fan of your father, he used to go and visit him and talk to him. And I think that shows how kind he was and how appreciative he was of the people that were his fans.
What a testament. Legendary. Is there any more questions from the audience or any of our panelists? Don't be shy. Where? Oh.
Oh no, I was just agreeing that he was very much in touch with people. And I remember that day when my dad told me that he was invited to the hospital, and he was a friend who had some sort of coma, and he went and sung next to him, the Israelites, by his bedside, and he woke up from that coma suddenly, and it was like a miracle. And if he had the time, he would spend more time doing more community work, but such a demanding role being out there touring around. But yes, he loved people very much so.
Further questions for the panel?
Could I just quickly say, we've got the mayor and the regional coach here, so maybe what you just suggested is where we can take the exhibition to Lewisham. That's something that we can explore while we're on there.
Very good point. Culture and community colleagues in the room. We're looking at you. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we have the Migration Museum. It's a great space in Lewisham Shopping Centre, so I'm sure it's something that we can take there.
Very good point. We'll send an email to Jason. I think there was a couple hands in the back for questions.
It wasn't a question. Sorry, it wasn't a question. It was just to say. Sorry.
Oh, hello. It wasn't a question per se. It was just to say I live in the borough. I've been in the borough for 47 years, and I never knew any of this. And it has really encouraged me. Especially when I'm hearing that there's been obstacles, and I'm complaining about the minuscule things, and it's put things into perspective that Lewisham really does have a rich culture of, fantastic people. And I didn't know any of this, and it's just been such an inspiration. I want to say thank you, and I'm going to read up a bit more about it. Thank you.
And this is exactly why we needed the map. Energy! Black History 365 here in Lewisham.
To reinforce what I said earlier about the bit about black police officers in Lewisham being missing from the story, is that when I came to Ladywell as a 19-year-old, that was splashed over the South East London Mercury. And then within 6 months of Ron Hope and myself being here, we appeared on BBC Panorama with Reverend Wilfred Wood and many other black workers in London. So that's why it's a bit of a mystery why we were missed out of some of the history of Lewisham.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all our fantastic panelists, our icons of Black history, Trailblazers. You'll see the map and the brochure in your packs that you received today. Now, part of the work that the professional network have been doing is the podcasts. And as we know, podcasts are becoming a far more popular part of modern day media. It's a great way to digest content, pick up stories. And as Debbie mentioned at the beginning of today's session, we've had some fantastic guests as part of that podcast. So here to speak a bit more, including about how you can access the podcast as Lewisham staff, obviously it's all free, is Stephen and Lynette. Please, Stephen and Lynette.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, guys. We have a quick video to play, and then we'll tell you a bit more about the podcast.
Welcome to the Professional Network's True Talk podcast. This platform aims to showcase the inspirational and charismatic people that serve the residents of Lewisham and drive the positive advancements and changes within the council. We'll be hearing fascinating stories from individuals that are instrumental and influential at Lewisham. We'll also be discussing their progressive development and how they've navigated challenges and barriers in their careers. Our hope is that these conversations will inspire, motivate, and encourage you to take positive action to further your career, achieve your goals, and fulfill your potential. The True Talk Podcast.
Thank you, guys. So my name is Stephen, and the Lewisham Professional Network's True Talk podcast started so we can highlight the great achievements of Black, Asian, and multi-ethnic professionals who represent our community and show diversity in top leading roles. The True Talk podcast is hosted by Lynette Diaz, who's going to speak after me, who has volunteered her time to support the project. Lynette brings her charm and charisma to the podcast and really gets the conversation going with her questions. While working on the podcast, I've worked with a great number of people whose excellence, passion, devotion, and personality have left a mark on my values and perspective and professional development. And I'm sure you also can name individuals who have had a similar impact in your lives. Now, most of the time, the contributions made by individuals go unnoticed and their achievements are unsung and often unseen by others, and they fail to get the recognition they richly deserve. So the True Talk podcast is a platform where our guests will be provided an insight into their notable achievements and accomplishments, but more importantly, share stories and reveal the trials, the challenges, and the conflicts they have faced and overcome in their professional career and lives.
Thank you. You spoke so kindly about me. Hi everyone, my name's Lynette. I'm the host of the True Talk podcast. When Stephen initially approached me about the podcast, I was initially like, wow, can I do this? Are people gonna critique me in terms of my questioning? All those fears and stuff came to my mind, and I said, why not? Why not face your fears? And I think a lot of us, what we learn through the podcast as well, that a lot of us struggle with imposter syndrome, like when we're placed in positions and stuff like that. And then we have to somewhat be courageous and be brave about the things that are, or job opportunities that come our way. So we unpack that in the podcast. We speak to individuals that you may know, you've seen on the screen, and we unpack their journey. That's the most important thing. We unpack their journey, how they got to the place that they are, and we talk about what their belief systems are, and also like what inspires them. So when you listen, hopefully you will listen, you will hear me say a lot of I'm sorry. It's something that I do quite naturally. So Stephen had to cut a lot of those things out, bless him. But we basically hear people's stories, their journeys, and we hope that it inspires you. And one of the things that I have heard in my career is, what's next? What's next for you, Lynette? And I also want to ask you, what's next? What's next for you in your journey? We all have skills, we all have abilities, we all have those things that we can do really well. So what is next for you? And that's what this podcast almost like makes you think about. We want to inspire you and to think about what's next for you. And then also those individuals that we speak to, they also give you tips, things that you may embrace with your career and also your personal journey. So yeah, that is my few words. Thank you.
We have amazing guests on the show. As you saw, the mayor has been one, and many others. Courtney and Shireen were our first guests, and it was such a great interview. It was only supposed to be 20 minutes, but we ended up doing an hour and a half of footage. and had to turn it into a 4-part mini-series just to cover all the tips and advice. It was amazing. We're planning the second series, as Debbie mentioned at the start of the podcast, and we're also asking for you guys to get involved, not just in suggesting people to interview, but actually jumping behind the camera or in front of the camera and hosting or whatever you feel you can bring to the podcast. We invite you to join and get involved. Just message the professional network, and would love to hear from you. And that's all from me. Please enjoy the rest of the event, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Stephen and Lynette. I was actually the latest guest on the podcast, and I have to say they were both so professional, and it was actually so much fun. Really useful for me as well as a reflective piece, kind of when you speak out loud, your journey, and have a back and forth. Just so meaningful. And just like the Black History Trailblazers map, it is all about being inclusive. It's all about co-design. So certainly want input from the members, from people here today and others, in terms of the podcast. And just like the map, reaching out to the community so there can be influence for future iterations. Now, how can we access the podcast, Stephen? That is probably the best question that could have been asked.
We've got a SharePoint, right? We've got a SharePoint site, and we've got a newsletter as well. So you can access it through the newsletter, but there'll also be a link on the SharePoint page. And we're still in the process of editing all the interviews, because we did about, I think we've still got a few more to go as well, but we'll be releasing them entirely next year in January, and you can get an email once they're all ready. But the Courtney one is available to watch now if you're interested. Courtney and Shereen, sorry. SharePoint, yes. I'll send out the link.
I was about to say, SharePoint is a bit of a virtual jungle. Maybe just send the link, to everybody who's registered today. Can you send them the link? All right, we can make it happen. Thank you very much. And our next guest today almost needs no introduction at all. However, I'm going to try my best to do a very short one. Has a well-trodden road history, relationship with Lewisham, has served as a councillor, has supported so many organisations, has a real personal connection with so many members of our community. And this is why this person was the first publicly voted Black female mayor in the country. Mayor Desmond Dekker.
Hi everyone, I'm really pleased to be here, and thank you to our honoured guests, our speakers, our Trailblazers. And it's a huge privilege to be here at the launch of our Trailblazer map, because many people, as somebody commented a little bit earlier, they don't know about Black history in our borough. And our young people need to know that, because when you've got a sense of pride within you, it makes you elevated, inspired. And that's what our young people definitely need today. If we know our history, if we know our past, it can make you proud and make you realise that there are people before us who've contributed that do so much, and we need to encourage that. And I think this Trailblazer map is going to be fantastic, and it's a wonderful initiative as part of our Lewisham Black History 365, because it's more than a month here in Lewisham. Now, I'm not going to speak for too long, but I'm really pleased, and I'm just amazed that Desiree is here, because I've been working on my family tree. And I know Desiree is a Dekkers and Desmond Dekkers. And one year around about Christmas, I think your dad's, one of the previous managers, actually called our house. And that's how we realised the connection, so I didn't know about that. So we're going to talk later. But it's absolutely amazing that we have such fantastic representation, not only in the room, but amongst you as well, because all of you here are in your own ways trailblazers in what you do, what you represent,
and the fact that our young people can look at you as role models as well. We've all got our part to play, and it's phenomenal. And it's really good to look out and see that there's so many different faces that I know, not just within the council, that I've known for years before. Hi. and it's beautiful. But on a serious note, we've all got a part to play as trailblazers, and you know, who knows, maybe next year it'll be you on the map, and it'd be good to get something, you know, your journeys, your stories as part of a podcast, because we've all got those personal stories that we should be sharing. So it's a pleasure to be here today and celebrate the launch of this Trailblazer map. Now I'm just going to hand over to my council colleague, Edison, and he is our cabinet member for culture, sports, leisure, all the fun stuff.
So it's always difficult to follow our mayor, Brenda Dekker, but like Brenda said, you know, it's an honour to be in the same room as our Trailblazers and all of you here today who have given up time to be with us today. You know, as the lady back there said, you know, by bringing to light all of these stories, this local history of Black history, Black icons, Trailblazers across our borough, it really does inspire the next generation, as Brenda said. Certainly, this is not the end. This is not the only iteration of the map that we'll see. We're looking to have future iterations of the map. So maybe one day you will also be on that map as well. We'd love to see kind of names, faces from across our borough, from our different wards, so that we can really highlight that local history and really inspire the next generation. So we're working to put it in our libraries, our public spaces. We're sending digital copies out to our schools, so that our young people can also learn about this history as well. But as Brenda said, you know, it's part of you know, Black History 365. It isn't just a month, and so actually, this Trailblazer map builds on earlier work, be it the Scene Festival, which who was at Scene Festival this year? Give me a raise. Okay, good. We want more of you next year as well. So that was the first global majority arts festival held at the Broadway Theatre, but across our different libraries as well. We had our Black Leadership event a couple of months ago, and of course we presented this map at the Black-led Business Forum in Deptford Lounge a couple of weeks ago, where we had really good feedback about the map, and we're certainly taking that feedback onwards. But yeah, I just wanted to say also a big thank you to Darnell and Alice and the whole team for making this. Round of applause. And I know they've put in a lot of work to create this map, and it's a wonderful piece of artwork as well as history. So yeah, we're really pleased to be sharing that today. But yeah, thank you again for being here. Before we break for refreshments, we do have a surprise, and obviously there's no Trailblazer map without our Trailblazers. So we'd love to get Mayor Dekker back up, and we'll present a nice copy of the map for all of our Trailblazers. So, yes.
So without further ado, on behalf of the professional network, we'd like to present our Trailblazers, David Michael, MBE, Barbara Gray, Timo Shoddy, and Desmond Dekker, aka Dekkers.
Okay.
No, it's okay. No, you. No.
There's more.
Yeah.
Energy. you.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you everybody. What an inspirational morning. Wow. I'm walking amongst giants. We're going to get these maps framed, so hold tight, they will be framed. You can put them up above the mantelpiece. Pride and joy. Tim's sleeping with his. But thank you everybody, it's been a fantastic morning. We will continue after a short break, so please help yourself to some refreshments, have a comfort break, do visit our stall holders at the back. We've got promoting our heritage books, and this is why we gave you the bags as part of the pack, so you can put the items you buy into the free bags. You see how the psychology works. And we've also got Laura Stars, and Laura is celebrating 1 year of the business today. And I'm so proud and pleased to say that Laura and Garfield have both engaged with Lewisham's business support offer. They've engaged with the BIPC Lewisham, and it's part about driving our economy locally as part of the work that I do as in the economy, jobs and partnerships. We've also got the library team here, so please enjoy your break and we'll see you back in about 15 minutes. No? Edison, 1 moment.
Very quickly, we're going to have a group photo out in front of the building, so we'd love to have everyone have a little memento from this moment. And so if everyone could join us outside by the flag, we're going to have a nice group photo.
Traders at the back, Laura, Garfield. Has the tills been going cha-ching? And great, because that's what we want to see. Thank you, sir. We're supporting black businesses. The claps, the gratitudes, the handshakes don't pay the electric bill. I said cha-ching, it's not even cha-ching anymore. Now it's just... That's how it goes, eh? And also fantastic to see a lot of people engaging with the Lewisham Library team, which is a wealth and well of knowledge, information, and remember, that is a free resource to the entire community. It serves a lot of purposes for a lot of people, but if we don't utilize, visit, and represent for our local libraries, what happened? Them gone, okay? And then all of a sudden people get upset. So we try to be mindful where we're spending our money, spending our time, spending our energy, because it's all about our energy transfer, and the energy between us here today has been fantastic. And what's going on? I said energy! It's like everyone got amnesia. 1, 2 tea and cakes. You forget where you are. Right, well, thank you all for coming back. We've got a bit of a treat in terms of entertainment before we move on to our conversational piece with OD, which is a follow-on conversation from one that was started online, which was highly engaging, well attended, there's lots going on in the chat, but doing it in person I think is going to take it to a whole next level. But before that, as I said, Lewisham is synonymous with music and culture, and we've got a treat. So I'm going to
let this gentleman introduce himself, and please do follow, like, and engage with all of the social media, all of the contact details that will be provided. But please, sir, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Very well, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here to share this moment with you guys, because when we say Africa, it's a lot of things. I come from Senegal. I born in Senegal. My parents come from Guinea-Bissau, is Portuguese speaking, and Senegal French speaking. I come from the tribe called Manjako, and this Jeme come from the tribe called Mandingo. And the Mandingo used to be in West Africa, a big empire, and they used to colonize all around West Africa, and they used to have a different king, and they used to play this drum. And man said to woman, how are we going to call this drum? And man said to woman, how are we going to call this drum? And woman say, Djembe. And Djembe mean in Mandingo language is peace and together. That's why. And anything happen, we play a drum. We have a lot of rhythm and different ceremony. And before, we don't have a telephone. Djembe was the telephone to do the communication between different villages. And anything happened to my village when I play the drum, my neighbor will understand what happened in my village. They have a lot of rhythm, and that's why we play Djembe. And it's a part of this culture, and we respect it. Yeah. And when we play it, we feel always the joy. Thank you, guys. This is a little bit history about Djembe. Thank you very much. And let's go, guys. When I say wasa wasa, guys, please make more noise you can. If I say wasa wasa, you say yeah, wasa wasa. Yeah. One more time, wasa wasa. Yeah. If I say wasa kumba, you have to make a big noise. Wasa kumba, yeah. Wasa wasa. Yeah. Wasa kumba. Yeah. And wasa wasa mean the joy. I wanna like we sing together. If I say ah yao ayo ya yao ah together ah yao ayo ya yao ah yao ayo ya yao ah together.
Yeah, lighten up.
If I say super, super, everyone say super! Super, super! Super, super! Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. You know, we're talking about people from Portland, Port Antonio, Jamaica, but we come from West Africa. And that really touched the chord, bringing me back, reclaiming our narrative. We're transitioning quickly to the fantastic OD. Thank you. My friend, what's your name again? Dia. Dia. We might need to borrow you again. So I wonder if you could do me a favor.
Yeah, why not?
You can see, how many of you were there at the session that we did at the middle of on the 16th? Show of hands. Yeah, okay. So what you can do is I need a bit of help. Okay. So if you can do me a favor, if you sit a chair about here, and you put your right there, and the rest of you that have got, we didn't say it was time to retire them. You see, the thing is, we're going to do a version of what we did the other week, a few weeks ago, but as we're here live, say live, then we're going to have to do some live stuff. Okay? Make sense? Good. Right. So hi everyone, I'm Courtney Richards, Head of Organisation Development, and we want to talk to you a little bit about reclaiming a narrative, what it means in terms of for our workforce and all that good stuff. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things. Mark, you mentioned the word energy. Now the thing. Yeah, I didn't remember. Right. We've learned, we get all kind of posh when we come to the UK, and we forget where we come from. Not only that, we forget the purpose. That's the real thing, because if you don't know the purpose of a thing, then abuse is always inevitable. Now, one of the purposes of the drum, even though it's to communicate and do a bunch of things, is actually to increase energy. Am I right? Yes. Now, when you increase energy, because energy is the ability to do work, would you agree? Yes. The higher energy, the higher your ability to do more stuff. True. In fact, even when you have, they even call depression low energy. How about when you're optimistic? Okay, so when you hear a beat, where is it going? It's going in your heart and in your soul to stir your what? All of these people that we're celebrating here, what have they had to do? In order to do all the outstanding things that they've had to do over the years, in the face of problems, what have they had to do? Come on now, come on. You gotta have high energy energy. So when you're feeling down, what have you got to do? Stir up the energy. Come on, folks. You got to stir up the energy. so I said, you got to help me, because unless you stir it up, imagine you make yourself a cup of tea or coffee. How many like sugar in their coffee? Come on, be honest. Yeah, okay, you like sugar in your coffee, all right, okay. Now, how many, 1 spoon? How many of the 1-spooners? 2 spoons? Yeah, 3 spoons? Okay, yeah, okay. I won't go any further. I'm going to the land of diabetes, but anyway. But the point is this. Those of you who love your sugar in your coffee, what if you put the sugar in there and you don't stir it? Is the sugar already there? Is the sugar already in the cup? But can you taste it? So what do you have to do? Thank you. Stir up the energy, please. Stir up the energy, folks. Okay, so why is this thing not working now? Why is this thing not working? Okay, well, if you click it for me, please. Okay, just move it to the next one. There we go. Oops, go back. Okay, that's it. Okay, not sure why that, now it's working. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about, when we talk about reclaiming narratives, what, whose narrative, and the how. Is that all right? Okay, and I want to start with it. Those of you, by the way, all of you who did was here at the session on the 16th, hands up, please. Real quick. No, you were there. Right, we're going to show you a quick video, and it might be a little teensy bit disturbing. Okay, I need you to get your phones out, but we're going to do a little bit of a group activity. Is that all right? I need you to get your QR code reader thing out, because we want to ask you a few questions. But remember, we've got to get, let me just have a little more, come on. Energy. The last thing I just want to share with you before we go into this thing is that your expectation is your superpower. What happens when you're going on a holiday? You're going to fly away somewhere nice and hot. What happens the night before? Or the day or two before? You start to feel, what happened? What's going on?
Energy.
Why is the energy raising? Huh? Yeah? Why is it raising? Because you're already picturing yourself out there. See, your expectation now raises your energy. That's why expectation is your superpower. As soon as you leverage the power of expectation in the positive direction, what happens to your energy?
Rises.
There you go. Thank you. Please, scan this code for me, please. And we're going to do a quick exercise with you. And sorry, it was all the drum beat that just sort of took hold of me, and it sort of changed the script. Right, okay. So where are we? Have we got that? Now, has everyone got the code? Anyone? Oh, you're still doing that? Okay. Because we want to ask you a few questions, and I want you to discuss it amongst yourself as well, and then record your responses, record your ideas. We're still doing that, we got it? In fact, if you're having difficulty scanning the QR code, just go to slido.com and then put in that number, 5515687. Have we all got it?
Yeah.
Say, I got it?
I got it.
Fantastic, thank you. Right, so I want you to group up, find someone to talk with. Let's discuss what's changed in the last 15 years. Yes, you've got older. What else? And have you got wiser? So I want you guys to have a little discussion. Listen, I need to hear some chatter in the room. So you guys, come on, get talking. What's changed in the last 15 years? Then we're going to go on to question 2 and then question 3. Tell me, what's changed in the last 15 years? There you go. By the way, if just to be clearer, is what's changed in terms of working in Lewisham? Okay, we're going to go on to question 2. And then when we've done question 2, you give me a different piece. Okay? So, yes, I hope you're putting all, are you putting everything on, are you typing it in? Yeah. So you just Actually, let's do that now. Let's look at some of the things that have changed. So if you just so what we got? Oh, I've sent my response. Not sure what that one means. Well, black people are now recognised for their contribution to hard work, for representation at different levels. Yeah, recognition, awareness, joy for senior roles, POC, black woman, man. Yes. Was it diverse workspaces? Number of black people in senior roles. Yeah. A lot of people engagement, pay rise. Ching ching. Yeah, more black people in parliament. Yes. Yep. Any more? We'll go quickly. Pay scale, number of people's council module, executive mayor, yes. People more empowered. I like that one. High percentage of PO and SMG roles. Yeah. Any more? Not work that long representation on TV. Yeah. Let's recycle actors. Yes. Yeah, what's changed the Catford area? Let me leave that one. Okay, good. That's fantastic. Thank you all very much. So now we're going to go on to question 2. So here's question 2 that's on there on your screens, is how do we change our narrative? So let's have a discussion. How do we change our narrative? So have a discussion about how we're going to do that. How are we going to change our narrative? Taking ownership and action. I like that one. Getting involved, speak up, network, share information, being more visible when it counts. Yeah. Calling out and challenging racism and injustice. Yeah. You know what? You might also want to call out laziness too. Did I just say that? Sorry. Having your voice heard. Critical thinking, positive challenges. I love that. Having uncomfortable conversations. Now that's a big one. Uncomfortable conversations, even with ourselves. How about that one? Okay, I like that. Okay. What else? Yeah. Okay, we're running short on time, so we've got about 1 more minute on this, and then we'll go to the other one. Okay, you've gone to the other one. Okay, next conversation. Okay. So this is an interesting one. Is that what narrative are you trying to reclaim? Because this is called reclaiming narratives, or reclaiming our narrative. Whose exactly? Whose narrative are you trying to reclaim? Have a think about that one. Where did that narrative come from that you're trying to reclaim? And is it that you actually really want to reclaim it? Or do you want to create a new one? Think about that. Okay. Yeah, possibility thinking, yeah. Place yourself where you're not expected. I like that one. The truth of who we are, yeah. Our contribution to society for real, yeah. Get to know our history. Your authentic self. See, one of the big things here is that we sometimes think all of the black people are all the same. Just like we think all of the white people are all the same. That's a real problem, isn't it? How about your story? That's what I'm saying. What narrative is it you really want? Okay, you're not inferior to anyone. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, beautiful people. Yeah, I like that. So you got some really good things coming up there. It's good, isn't it? When you start to think, okay, I can do this. What happens to you when you feel good about yourself? Do you think you could possibly leap over problems? You know, have you ever been in a situation where you're really super high in terms of enthusiasm and positivity, and you meet some problems during the day? How do you deal with that? Do you treat it as, yeah, it's nothing? And how about when you get problems when you're feeling a bit low? It might be a tiny little pebble in the road, and now you're stuck. Would we agree with that? Yes. So really what this is about, as mentioned, thank you, my friend. You see, at least he's in the spirit. Right, thank you. So could you just flip back over now? That's it, thank you. Thank you. So the last bit that I want to do in our last few minutes, because lunch is here, or almost here, is our commitment. Our commitment. Say, my commitment.
My commitment.
What does that mean?
My commitment.
Yeah. Not someone else's, it's
mine.
Okay. Okay. All right. My commitment. So then, scan this new code for me, please, because I want to ask you another little question. 2 last questions. It's about your commitment. Because what I want to think about is that as a council, what do we want for our future? Because it's okay to talk about what's happened in the past, but the past doesn't actually motivate you because it's already happened. You can stand on the shoulders of the past, but without having a future, you're not going anywhere. So who's going to design your future?
Me.
Thank you. So, you're in the wrong place. That's it, thank you. No, up the top, that's it, that's the one. Fantastic. So then, what are the narratives you want for our future? For our future as working in the council? What is it you want? Okay, we've seen some good stuff. Dissemination of black achievements. Okay, you can start doing that. Okay, remember you said it's your commitment. Confident, aspiring, opportunity, being able to be and being creative. Living our values. See it there? Our values. Okay, fairness in treatment. Now that's an interesting one, fairness in treatment. Is anything ever fair in life? Please, come on, is anything fair? The fact that you have gifts and skills and talents that the next person that weren't born, you were born with innate gifts and talents, and another person won't, is that fair? Is anything really fair? I tell you what, as soon as you focus on what you can do, then you make the best for yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about fair, it's a funny word, because nothing's fair. Committing to our values, there's no ceiling. Opportunities to remove the glass ceiling. Yeah, okay. I like the opportunity to remove the glass ceiling. Who's going to do it? Me. Thank you. Come on now, come on. Yes. So where does the glass ceiling exist? In the RAS. That's where it exists. My narrative is to work hard to be a role model. Come on now, that deserves a round of applause. Become a mentor, share your story. So instead of trying to pull from everyone, why don't you give to someone else? Oh, I like that. Okay, go. That's right. Hold on, wait. Sorry. It's all there. Just let's do it down there. Question number 2. That's it. There you go. You see. Now the last question is this. What one step, remember I talked about the othering? It's them, and it's all. So what one step are you going to take to make this a reality? What are you going to do about it? Huh? What are you going to do? Are you going to sit on the fence, complain, bellyache, what's wrong? I don't have this, I don't have that. Well, I'd love to hear some commitments about what you're going to do. So each one teach one, love it. Speak up, share ideas, be present. What else are you going to do? Come on, that's it. Participate more, look for opportunities. Get in the game. I like that. Now, when you're in the game, might someone criticize you, throw stones at you? Yeah, but where are you? In the game. And it's easy to criticize when you're on the sidelines. Everyone that's doing something in life has had to step onto the field. So please step to the field. Take accountability, learn more, ownership, be present. Yeah, stand up, shout out. Remain authentic, whatever. Having bravery to press on, yes. In difficult circumstances. What do you still have to do? Press. Who told you it's going to be easy? Did anyone? Please, did anyone tell you it's going to be easy? No, what it is going to be worth it. Anything, do you actually see diamonds on the surface? No. Do you enjoy olive oil without something being crushed? Is it easy? No, but it's worth it. Okay, cool, thank you. Right, thank you. I'm just going to hand over. As a handover, you've shown us some commitments in action. And there's a last commitment that's been in action. Is you all participated, or most of you participated in the staff survey. We came with an ask, which was to help us beat the 54% response rate. Because what? Just because we wanted some more figures? Not really, because your voice mattered. Without hearing your voice and hearing your opinions, then where are you? Just a silent complainer, or maybe a vocal complainer, but you're not part of the game of changing how things work here. And I'm so thrilled to say that, and here's some of our leaders showing off their t-shirts, and you probably saw some of them wearing their t-shirts earlier over the days that we were doing it. And we had an event here, a well-being event, etc. And actually, we even went into some of the places which are more hard to reach, like Wearside and our cleaners and all those sorts of places. And not only did we smash the 54%, which was in 2022, where did we go? So I just want to, let's just give ourselves that wasn't loud enough. You
see, the more the data, the more information we have, the richer the data and the stronger the opinion. And for that, I just want to thank you for participating. Thank you for being good sports, for raising the energy. Thank you, my friends. And thank you to all of you. Thank you to Sky and everyone. Thank you to the Professional Network for putting this on. And let's keep it going. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Courtney. Top actor follow. You know he does this professionally, right? They gotta pay him for this because seriously, he's like Lewisham's Mr. Motivator. Remember Mr. Motivator? I swear, if you had Courtney on you doing push-ups and banging them extra reps, go gym with Courtney, let's see. I'm gonna follow that suit in terms of the thank yous. There's gonna be some official thank yous and some closing words from our chair and co-chair. But personally, there's just a couple people in the room that I've seen that have influenced and supported me on my journey in terms of reclaiming the narrative and how I work within the organisation. Yes, Josephine, you're one of them. Information governance, you supported me. Carol and Prentice, Carol Stewart, you supported me. Meron, you supported me. Monica Yard, I think went to the toilet, but supported me as well. Dennis, you supported me. So that's what it's all about. But I'd like to welcome our chair and our co-chair to the floor for the closing remarks and the thank yous. Please, Darnell and Debbie.
Thank you, Mark. Courtney, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, honestly, that was really good to go. You kept the energy. Energy high, so thank you very much. Guys, we made it. We did it. We made it. All right, so this is the time now. We just, again, want to say more thank yous. At least I'm going to get some more thank yous today, so I want to get to the thank yous. But I just want to thank everybody that's just made the effort all round. Again, we've got the Mayor Brenda Dekker. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that speech, and Councillor Edison for coming and sort of, again, being supporters of the Trailblazers map and everything that we sort of do within Lewisham as well. Sharon, Courtney, Sky, thank you very much for organisational development, and not just for today, but for all the work that you've done to help us push and reclaim our narrative back at Lewisham, and it's been done with the support of you guys as well, so thank you very, very much for that. Stephen and Chamu from Facilities Management, again, all of this arrangement and everything. Even when we came in this morning, it was like, right, everything needs to change. So okay, no worries, we'll do it. So I thank you guys as well, because without them, we couldn't do this. There was nothing, because that was a nice way of putting it. Olivia, thank you again. Thank you again, Comms. I mean, she's taking all around here, taking pictures of everybody, getting all the shots today. Supporting us with the Trailblazers map. Just great again, brilliant, Comms. Thank you very much. Richard from coming up. I mean, he's upstairs preparing our lunch. So, we do want to give Richard a round of applause. Energy. Just to thank you, just to say in terms of Richard, I mean, he's been supporting the community for 20, 30, or probably even more years than that, right? And he always, he's always somebody who's like, whatever it is, I'll do it. I'll really try and make it happen. And he really loves his community, so I want to thank Richard as well for that. So let's give him a quick round of applause. Can you hear us, Richard? We're coming. We're on our way. Who else have we got? Our stall holders, Laura Stars. Thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work, thank you for your amazing accessories, thank you for your feedback you've been giving the council, and she's going to keep giving the council feedback about this, because she wants us to do it a lot more, so thank you very, very much. Garfield, promoting our heritage, keeping us all educated. Thank you so much for coming. Again, both of these guys, I met them at the Deptford launch that we had a couple of weeks ago. Said to them, like, we're doing this event, you want to come? Like, yeah, we'll be there. And I'm like, this is how we put these things together. Yeah, everybody plays a part, which is great.
Okay, we also want to thank our Trailblazers. Now, we've had some beautiful stories up here and journeys and information, and I want it to inspire you all. We thank you, Mr. David Michael, MBE, David Michael. We thank you, Barbara Gray. And I'll say, we thank you, Desmond Dekker. And we also thank Tim Oshodi. Thank you to all the team that have supported us. Thank you for our team. Thank you guys for, look, we have meetings at our work, we have meetings in the day, we have meetings all the time, and we wouldn't be able to do any of this without our team. And it's only just 5 of us, but we are a 5 strong, fearing team that gets things done. And I want to thank Stephen, I want to thank Mark, I want to thank and we also want to give a big thank you to the mayor's team. Councillor Edison's team. And the comms team and the library services. The community development service. The facilitate management team. The chief exec team. And the organizational development team. Get shy ones today. We also like to thank the people who have volunteered for us today, because you know, without us coming together with volunteers, we wouldn't be able to make a lot of things that we do. So we'd like to thank Julia. And also I'd like to thank also Annie Lou, because she's going to help us later. Can everybody give a good hand for our drummer guy here? And I think without further ado, if there's any questions or anything, you know how to get us on the Professional Network email, and also the QR code. I'm learning this QR code, isn't it? Yeah. Feedback form. We need feedback and we need your ideas, because next year we ain't playing around. So they're gonna hear us from the rooftop. It's Black History Lewisham 365. Okay, let's do some. We're gonna do some. So everyone, thank you all for coming, and thank yourselves and you all of Trailblazers. Whatever you're doing out here, keep doing it. And now it's time for dinner.
Yes, we're actually going to start upstairs. And at about 2:15/2:20, we're going to be showing Tim Oshodi's film here. So you can go and get your lunch and come and sit down and you can watch the film as well. So what he was talking about earlier, we've got the actual short film as well, which is about 25 minutes. So you can lunch and relax and watch the film as well. All right? So thank you everybody for coming. Let's go for lunch. Thank you.
I'll tell you. My brother.
was homeless. I was at that time living in a spare room at a friend's house.
I was in desperate need of some housing.
We went into the housing office to apply for the waiting list.
It's a waiting list.
A lot of us are in council properties, and at that time they weren't even suitable, or they're either too small, or you're in a tower block 20 floors up in the air.
In a tower block with pigeon everywhere, you know, no garden, the estate, you know, the atmosphere around there.
We had heard of a scheme that Lewisham had initiated, which was about self-build. The housing co-op Chisel had decided that they really wanted to investigate that as a way of building alternative housing for local people.
So we've got a scheme, we've got a plot of land. If you're on the council waiting list or you're homeless, you can build yourself a house depending on your housing needs, and you get discounted rent.
And it was looking at the water seagull method, where you were building houses, timber framed homes that were sustainable and affordable. It was the kind of alternative ideas that we were looking for, and we were really excited about the possibilities.
The big idea, you know, was this genius of his for reducing design and architecture to its essentials in a way that enabled ordinary people to build for themselves.
It was entirely designed for laymen. It was drawn and conceived so that with no knowledge you could understand how to make plans.
I'd always wanted to build my own, but you know, it goes back to finances again. It goes back to money and availability.
How does a guy like me, just an ordinary Joe Snow or whatever guy, you know, not doing nothing special in life, get the chance, especially in London, because I'd only been in London a few years previous to that, get to actually build his own home?
In the late 80s, I was a single mum with 2 children. Actually thinking about how I was going to get myself onto the housing market, which was kind of extremely difficult at the time. Fortunately for me, I came across a group of people who wanted to form their own collective, which they called Fusions Jameen.
Eventually, I think we went to Lewisham Council. We went into the housing office to apply for the waiting list. And it was in there that we saw a leaflet for Fusion Jameen Housing Co-op.
We're living in Lewisham short life homes, and Lewisham had claimed back their short life homes. So the next thing for us now was to form that structure and to see if we could apply for what was then Housing Association grant money.
Thanks to Chisel, which is a secondary housing co-op, a brilliant man called Jose Espina, he found a way to use a normal housing grant for these kind of schemes, which hadn't been done before. So he developed the community self-build for rent model. Each self-builder individually would sign their own self-build agreement with the co-op. And then the co-op, and then that individual self-build agreement said that if they followed all the instructions of the co-op and they gave their 24 hours a week, every week, then at the end of the scheme, there would be granted a self-build tenancy, which meant that they would get the self-build discount 30% below the target rent, and in addition to that, their children will be able to inherit that discount, you know. And if we built on time and we built on budget, then some of your rent would go towards building up what we call a premium. But this is quite important, that the premium was only going to be released when you left the house.
I had no idea what to expect. Like I say, I mean, it just fascinates me that you could get to build your own place, and in the borough that I lived in. I was interested in meeting the people and just finding out, basically, here and there from them, how they got the whole process going.
As somebody who was born in the Caribbean and actually was brought up in a home that my parents and grandparents built, having that same approach here seemed like, you know, how on earth were we going to get this done?
The thing that really struck me, though, is that there were children here. There were children of the builders were here, and it provided a great atmosphere. It felt instantly like a community of people, all working towards the same end.
It was great to be involved with so many different people that you wouldn't normally meet in life.
We all started off as not so much friends, but acquaintances, let's say. And that was strengthened as we moved along.
Made some really good friends. Right. And I had a fairly nice space for a single guy with not lots of money and stuff like that. Right.
Working as a co-op brought a real sense of collectiveness, and that meant that everybody was there to support each other.
Cooking for ones and ones on site, even though you know there's work going on, but somebody had the responsibility on a rota system to cook for the group, so we all took it in turns, you know. Experiences like that just don't go away.
So community self-build is about improving the self, the individual, through a community process. And it comes from the African philosophy that the individual reaches their best through community, what Desmond Tutu calls Ubuntu. This concept of Ubuntu is also reflected in our co-op name. Fusions Jameen is a Kenyan term for the coming together of people. It's a creation of community.
I think confidence was a big benefit. Meeting people, architects, housing, gave me a lot of confidence with people, professional people.
How to communicate with professionals, how to, ask for something and actually get it.
We had to learn to speak to people within the local authority. We had to learn to speak to people within the housing corporation. We had to set ourselves up as a friendly society or a company limited by guarantee. So there were all these other things, which was, which allowed you to really build a sense of pride and confidence.
Self-improvement is definitely about self-improvement. As you go along, you realise that you have skills, but there's skills that you pick up along the way that you never would have imagined that you would have needed or needed at the time.
I developed more kind of toughness, more like persistent muscle where you just kind of keep going. I mean, when it was hot, it was really hot. When it was cold, it was awful, muddy, rainy. And we just kind of kept going, trudged along. You'd work long days, it'd be freezing before like the shell was on. You just kind of kept going.
So having had the dream of successfully building my own house, I then got more confidence and the leadership skills to do more self-builds, to establish a community land trust and to build a genuine partnership with our local GPs.
Having my own space, my own home.
Right.
There's a garden that came with it.
Right.
It's nothing that I would have never think, because to me, that's part of a home. It made me feel particularly good because I felt like I was providing a home for me and my partner.
I can tell you where I put a screw in wrong. I can tell you where I cut a joint wrong. I can tell you the wonderful home that I've made for myself, but it's without all of that effort. It's all of that effort and commitment. That's what has made it a success.
I learned a little bit about house building.
Learning to read technical drawings or site specs was a great thing. As I said, learning to use the power tools.
Just basic plumbing skills or basic electric skills. Just how to read an architectural drawing.
I would say I was at my utmost fitness at 34, building the self-build. It took me a while, but after a while, I could lift up a whole door by myself and fit it. So, yeah, I was very, very fit by the end of it.
The highlight for me was when all my frames were built, and of course they have to be built flat. And then comes the day then that your site manager and everybody believes that everything is set and ready to go, and there's it's almost like a big reveal. But what you do is what you have as well, because it's the whole experience is hugely collective experience. So while you are building, they're also people of your extended family, with your friends, and they all get to hear about it because you go to work or you go to a class or whatever. You're just talking to people about this amazing thing that you're doing. And then there are certain times, like lifting of the frame, where you could say, why don't you come up? And you know, there'll be food, you know, because we cooked for each other over the weekend. You know, and you invite people over just to come and be part of that. And so you'd have, you know, tens of people coming along, and everybody would just lift these frames together. And for me, one of the most amazing things was actually listening to people who had been on the site for the first time and just participated in lifting the frame, but the impact, the experience that they took away from that was a really fulfilling experience. And also that was the kind of the first part of like, wow, you know, and you're just realizing that something's going to come out of this. Like one day these are going to have walls and windows and I'm going to be living there. So that was, I think, probably one of the most exciting moments for me.
People I've met through the self-build are some of the wonderfulest people I know. You know, very close to my heart. Their ideas, their eco, which was well above and well in front for the time, you know, which is all very apt now. I mean, I'm proud to be sitting in an eco-friendly, every bit of material, including the varnish, is eco-friendly, and that makes me feel very good about my footprint of the ecosystem. So that in alone and everything else is just a wonderful experience.
I enjoyed climbing, being on the roof, watching like the houses come up from like just mud to frames to all the sides and the windows. I mean, it was a long process, but it's amazing watching a house being built.
You've got a dream to build your house, yeah? But this is about a community process. So the contract isn't you're going to build your house. The contract is we're building 13 houses. That is where the fundamental challenge is.
I mean, it had lots of ups and downs. It was really challenging. It was a disparate group of people. It was a co-op, so there wasn't really a leader. So there was lots of arguing, you could say, headbutting, disagreements. People were doing their own things and going their own way.
A lot of people wanted to go off script, as we say, and trying to keep the team would be one of the biggest challenges we did face. Also, some of the rules around the scheme, once we were on there, our hours, our duties, our responsibilities, I think we would have learnt by making them a lot tighter before we entered into the actual building side of things.
We had a self-builder who was struggling with his own hours, really charismatic, and he managed to convince 3 or 4 other people who were also struggling with their hours to stop building, and that put the whole scheme at risk. And with all self-build, there's always a consequence, so we had to get them to face the consequence of their action. What we then said to them was, okay, if you're not going to do your hours, the consequence is you can stop building, but you're going to have to go on a higher rent. And with that higher rent, we use that money to pay for some professionals to make up for their hours.
Because once the walls went up, I think people's focus changed slightly.
The biggest challenge of a self-build is that you have to do this work consistently for at least 18 months. And you don't know what your life is going to be like. You know, you're doing it for the future of your kids, for the future with your partner. You don't know how your partner is going to respond to the fact that you have to make sacrifices in terms of time.
It turned out to be quite hard work. There was a lot of sacrifice because I was working full time, and the building thing was mainly done at the weekend, a few evenings.
And you know you've got to fulfil those hours. That becomes the challenge.
Managing your children, managing your family, and being able to put in the hours, because there were allocated hours you had to commit to on a weekly basis.
Time management was one of the greatest challenges, right? And keeping people together.
Yeah, it wasn't easy because once it got down to winter, you know, and you're working outside, and those winters seem like they were colder back then. You'd have to pad up, pad yourself up with some extra warm thermal clothes to actually be out on site all day. Saturday and Sunday was initially just to do 35 hours. One of the criteria that we had was to do 35 hours a week on site.
Personally, the challenges for me was the building in the winter because it was cold and it was miserable.
No, I mean right now, which is a shame really, I think of the time and the effort put into creating the dwellings here. 30 years nearly, and we can see the neglect in these properties. The neglect in terms of timber is softwood, and you're working with softwood in a porous climate that gets wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. To me, it's like this is being done deliberately, because if they can run down the properties here, then it's like our future has been nipped in the bud, because somebody has a visualization of something big being put here, knowing that most probably could accommodate 30 families rather than 4 families. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
And I just think that's where we might lose out, because chisel's not the same chisel that helped us to start out the project. It's not the Jose Españas that we knew back then. Yeah, so it's a bunch of strangers, as far as I'm concerned, who don't know anything about self-build, even though they might know about housing.
Our landlord at the time was trying to remove our self-build discount, you know, and I knew that we had legally binding agreements. The landlord claimed that they'd lost all their agreements. They're trying to cover over the financial trouble they were in by the poor mistake by removing our self-build discount. They're joking. We've got legally binding agreements, and we're going to stick to those. We're going to make sure that they recognise that it's self-builders earn the right. They've got that.
You do have to ask yourself, do I want to build a house which I will never own? Well, you know, I mean, wherever you stand on home ownership and all the rest of it, it's a question you have to ask yourself. Is it for me? It's not for you. Be realistic about it. To my mind, you get something a little bit different in that you get this, you get allowed, you get what feels like a proper home, something that you can, okay, your foundations of your family.
I've always wanted to own something. I always wanted to own this, even though in a sense I have owned it, or I am owning it, but it's just having that concrete guarantee that it's mine and it will be mine forever.
For me, it was just that knowing that at the end of all of this, you'd have somewhere to live, that you can say, yeah, I've done that. I'd do it again at a heartbeat. I'd do it again at a heartbeat.
I suppose the people that were involved, especially the people that did it for a long time, could be very proud that they helped to build houses, their own houses to live in. Their relatives, their children could also be proud about their achievements, and hopefully they should have a legacy based on what their parents did.
The whole thing makes me happy. The entire experience makes me happy. And the thought that I would never, had it not been for this scheme, it is highly unlikely that I would be living in accommodation such as this. I'm in a detached home which was built and designed, partly designed by myself. I was able to kind of invoke in the build essence of my childhood in the Caribbean, which was just beautiful. I have green around me. I have a garden. I have green space around me. And I now am a grandma, and it means that my grandson is also getting the benefits of this lovely, lovely accommodation that I have.
I set up another organisation which was followed on from all the lessons that we learnt here, called the Downham Community Land Trust. And what that now is doing is creating more opportunities for people to build, but this is more like things around tree houses for the wider community. So we're looking at that, and we're working with the local schools. Quite a few of the local schools are in partnership. We're looking at building them tree houses, tree classrooms. They can do that. We're creating a forest school, building a nature reception centre. We're looking at Heritage Lottery invited us to look at whether we have a £10 million bid. So we're working with the local council to see whether we can do up the local pond, build some tree houses around that project's called the Green Woman Oasis project. And then we're working with the local doctors in partnership with the local doctors, and we're looking at the Downham Health through Sport, leisure and nature strategy, and that's going to use all the green spaces we've got in the area, and we're going to build a lot more timber frame healthy living centres. And it's all about maximising the input of local people, showing local people what's possible, creating a lot more local employment, and then the local people can get involved in both the design and the build.
Because after doing this, I went on to open up my own women's maintenance company, Maiden Art Maintenance. And I traded for a good few years with that, with quite a few of the young women on this site. And I had up to 11 employers at one point. And that was really a good experience. And I think I only challenged myself with that through the knowledge that I'd gained through the self-build. Also, my son, my eldest son, has built his own house now and looking towards building his second. So I'd like to sort of say that I had some sort of influence there for definite.
It was a dream to build my house, which I'd had from when I was a young kid, so it was fulfilling a dream. That sense of community, the fact that you did something together, the fact it's a beautiful house, you know, and people really like it.
I am extremely happy and very grateful every day I walk through the door. And not just for the surroundings, but for the opportunity that I gave myself, and also I showed my children. If you want it that bad, keep trying, keep going for it, and you will get it. Don't give up. And the self-build showed and fulfilled that for me and my children, because I had a terrific time meeting people, building, the excitement, the ups and downs, and now the actual living in this environment is absolutely wonderful. And I do thank my lucky stars that I was given that opportunity to take part.